It just takes so many seconds to get there. I love your, what do you call the red flower behind you? I love that.
Amaryllis. Yeah, the amaryllis.
Amarilla. That's beautiful with the tree. That looks so good. All right,
Fred.
here we go.
Hey, here we go.
We are live. Welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Everything Horses and More podcast. You know who my lovely co-host is, Lydia Primavera, and y'all know who I am, Caroline Best. So welcome back to Everything Horses and More, where we are educating, liberating, and inspiring horse owners around the world. And happy New Year. Yay. So we're excited, Lydia and me, about today's podcast title. And we've had quite a few people reach out to express their excitement. This time last year, I did a, Welcome New Year podcast. And I think it's just great to start the new year off with something that not only feeds our soul, hopefully, but gives us some inspiration and motivation, to say the least. First, I want to mention our last podcast of the year in December 14th of 2022. If you all did not listen, please listen in, because it's a great segue to today's podcast. And we did stream it live. We will continue doing our podcast, streaming them live to our YouTube channel. So it was with Chris Newkirk, our guest speaker, and she was retiring. And our title for that podcast in December was Working on Our Higher True Self to Bring Calm, Confidence, and Peace Within, especially around the holidays. So Chris is a master psychiatrist, psychologist with a concentration on women empowerment and spirituality and addiction. And she has since retired, but we will have her back as often as she will come, because she is just a wealth of information, education, knowledge, spirituality. As often as she can come back, I'm looking forward to that this year. So take a peek at that podcast if you haven't already. And today we're talking about creating this sacred space for purpose, peace, and fulfillment in the new year. And for me, I don't know about all of you guys, but it really annoys me personally when everybody's out there, and I've gotten caught up in this too with my promotions, and I think I did it last year as well. But just like, let's make our New Year's resolutions and, let's stick to them. And we all know how challenging that is. It's like you have all the good intentions in the world to make the change, but making the change is the difficult part, changing habits and cognitive patterns of recognition. And so I hope today's podcast, what I did is I wanted to really break down this topic into very easy, digestible pieces that I have a whole process that I live by personally. And I've used it to bring me fulfillment, contentment, peace, and well-being. And I also continue to use this process when I'm stressed and anxious. And I am the perfect candidate over the holidays. I had one of the most stressful holidays, not one of the most, besides my first marriage divorce, and starting this business and not having any money and moving. This Christmas was very stressful. And I really had to step back and practice what I preach. Because like all of us, like you guys, it's easy to do something, to try something for a while. And then if it doesn't become an ingrained habit, your mind just tells you, I got this, and then you deviate and you get, challenged or caught up in the craziness again. And it hasn't become a habit. And then you get back in that cycle. And So I am really good about habits, but I really needed to anchor myself this Christmas. Um, and my mom is living with me right now. She came for a visit the first part of December, and she's not been healthy. And she ended up, her health declined rapidly, and she ended up having emergency surgery before Christmas. She has congestive heart failure, so she had a flutteral ablation. I won't get into it, but then it's the whole process of, it's right before Christmas, spending every day traveling to go see her, including Christmas, and trying to maintain a semblance of calm and how do you enjoy your Christmas when you're worried about your mom, and trying to have, function as a family and continue, what you normally do. And then she went into one of the worst rehabilitation facilities. It was like a movie, you guys. It was a nightmare. And she went in over New Year's, so I couldn't get her out because there's no doctors around. And the place looked beautiful and it was immaculate. And it had a weird vibe to it from the get-go. And every nurse there was either a complete moron or a complete asshole. And I had to fight to get my mother released last Wednesday. Right, guys? Last Wednesday. I can't even keep up. Yeah. It's been a whirlwind. And then trying to get social service. So she's been full-time care for me. So, it's been a nightmare. So I'm working on getting, social services in and some level of care. And I'm blessed that my staffer, Clarissa, who's just been amazing, who helps me 5 days a week here at my farm with the horses. So she's been pitching in. And I'm blessed that she has the availability to be available. Thank you, Clarissa. We'll get there. But and I did have a great epiphany, and the whole epiphany to the madness, because of course I'm stressed out and my family is stressed out, and everybody's worried, and the worst part about my mother's health is the level of dementia that happened. And for those of you that have dealt with an aging parent with dementia, and it's very sad and frightening for them. It's very frightening for them. And mom definitely still has dementia. That'll never go away, but it's not as bad as it was. So we're improving a little bit. But anyway, the aha moment, and I'm going to talk more about this in today's podcast because I'm here to really help you. I walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. Was praying to God. And for those of you that know me, I'm spiritual and I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. I believe in God. And I went back to my roots, so to speak, not my Catholic roots, but just my belief system and the power of prayer. And when you're at your most vulnerable and you have to surrender, you've just got to give it up to a higher power. And I choose God. You can choose anything. I choose God. And there was a peace that came over me that was just amazing. And it didn't happen immediately, but it certainly did when I woke up the next morning. And it gave me the level of clarity, calm and clarity that I needed, which of course creates a level of assurance, where you're like, and of course I have support from my husband, which has been amazing. We all need that, right? And, my stepson, his son is amazing too. So in my family. But anyway, so today, Happy New Year again. I hope y'all had a blessed and beautiful and safe holiday season with your loved ones. And, again, I wanted to start this new year off with positivity and purpose, connection to ourselves and to others. And, especially being able to connect to areas in our life that bring harmony, ease, peace, well-being. I know we all struggle with that all the time. And I hope today I can give you some concrete, tangible practices. And if you don't get what you need in this podcast, you can always contact me for, personal coaching. I do a lot of personal coaching along with my horsemanship. So, as I mentioned earlier in this, when we first started the podcast, everyone wants to keep their New Year's resolutions, and yet it's often very difficult and impossible to create those habits unless you really devote yourself. And we're going to talk about that. I think we also make too big of a deal out of it, which puts a lot of pressure on all of us. And what happens when we go into pressure like the horses? Too much pressure. And what happens? We go into self-preservation mode. So we either just shut down and freeze, and tune out and go on autopilot, or we go into flight mode, which creates anxiety, or fight mode, which for me, fight mode is just pushing through, barreling through, just push, push, push. So what if we looked at it differently? What if we looked at our new year, our new opportunity, our New Year's resolutions as a new opportunity, and just taking the pressure off, that big piece of pressure where, whether it's losing 20 pounds, whether it's getting a better, different job, whether it's making more money, whether it's having better relationships, whatever that New Year's resolution is, making more time for yourself is always a big one. We can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And, instead of stepping into the New Year's resolution with on your mark, get set, go, everybody wants to get us all pumped up and excited about making those New Year's resolutions. I want to give us some stepping stones, some smaller bites, and things that we can do that we can all incorporate into our daily lives very, very easily. I think this, I came up with this podcast before I was talking to my stepson, my son Mason, about it. And, we celebrated New Year's together, and the next day, we all fell asleep watching the ball drop, woke up right before the ball drop. And Kurt and I had our champagne, and Mason had his sparkling apple cider. But the next day we did, we had our big dinner, and I was like, so Mason, what are your New Year's resolutions? And he's like, I don't know. I'm 14. I don't have any New Year. I'm not thinking that far ahead. 14-year-old, you're thinking about right then and there and 10 million different things. But it kind of hit me funny in a good way, because I'm like, yeah, seriously, what is the big deal about New Year's resolutions? A lot of it's a big gimmick, marketing gimmick, if you ask me. Buy into this, buy into that, take advantage. Just like Christmas has become a hallmark marketing, advertising, you name it. We have to be careful about the manipulation of advertising, especially on television. So how do I want to go about today is, if you're thinking about a New Year's resolution and you're feeling, and you need to tap into how it resonates with you when you just think about it. If you're feeling pressure, or you're feeling anxious, or you're not feeling good about talking about it, you're not excited, you're not motivated, you're not inspired, you need to listen to that. And so that's one of the things, first thing I want to bring up with everybody is pay attention. There's two strategies that work, period, in life. I use them all the time in my personal life and with my students, whether it's personal development and coaching or their horsemanship, especially the horsemanship too. And the two strategies is learning how to do a body scan and also mind mapping. And this is where my coaching comes in. And like I said, anyone, anywhere all over the world, you guys come contact me. You don't have to be a current student of mine in my work. You can contact me for a coaching service in regards to this. So a body scan is what I just said. When you speak or think about certain words or moments, experiences, what happens to your body somatically? How do you experience sensation in your body when you think about anything, whether it's positive or negative? And we'll just make it that black and white. So if you're thinking about a New Year's resolution, how do you feel? What happens in your body from the top of your head all the way down throughout your body to your feet? And this is really important. Body scanning is something that we should all be mindful of all the time, and especially in our horsemanship, because we're bringing that container, our body is a container of emotions, stress, whatever negative or positive, we're bringing that to our horses. And especially if we go to ride, they can feel that. They can feel it before they touch us and we touch them, but they can obviously feel it when we get on them. So body scans are a big deal. And body scans are also a way of being authentic, a way of being true to yourself about how you feel about something. Lydia, I see you are busy. So you guys know Lydia's here for taking questions too. So if anybody has anything, I'm looking real quick myself. Welcome everybody. And Pamela, I'm so sorry to hear that you lost your stepdad. Oh, to body dementia. And you didn't have a lot of help from the family. And you were caring for him. So sorry to hear that. Yeah, I feel blessed. My brothers and I are on the same page and we're pretty close. And mom's been living, from one house to the other, but I have the best arrangement. I'm in my guest house right now. So, students come to work with me, depending if it's a private work, they stay in this guest house and mom will come up to the main house. So the guest house is still available for students, but she'll be here indefinitely. So I'm sorry for anyone else who's been struggling. So let me keep focused on this. That's why I don't want to do the comments. I shouldn't have looked. Because this is real stuff. This can really help you. Be authentic, be real, be vulnerable, be honest with yourself. If you feel a certain way, allow it. I felt horrible the night that I pray, but I really prayed that night. And I had the tears coming down my cheeks. So I was lying in bed quietly and my husband's snoring asleep. And I was like, I need help. I need to have a better mindset about this. And I'm very good with my time management and organization, but this just really threw me for a loop because I have so many things business-wise, that I have to prioritize, and mom took priority, not to mention my family, and everything else. So it worked. It worked to just surrender and pray and give it up to God and just say, you've got to show me the way. You've got to take over. I can't take over anymore. And I am, as you guys probably know, the typical personality that is, strong, takes over, pretty confident in most areas of my life, but definitely very vulnerable. And I have my insecurities like everybody else. So the body scan is huge. If you're disengaged from your body or, disconnected, and that's some of the work I do. It's a big deal. And it's a lot of what I do in my mastery membership program and spirituality program. So body scans are important in mind mapping. And mind mapping, it might be a foreign term to a lot of you, but in coaching, it is one hell of a strategy to whether you are working, on your personal life, your business, your career, retirement, your horsemanship, any facet or asset of, area of your life, mind mapping can help. And help you get out of a state of anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, can't focus, don't know why you feel a certain way. So those two strategies, body scan and mind mapping, are amazing. And again, I don't want to devote the whole podcast because that's what I do in coaching if you guys need help. So let's talk about creating a sacred space. I teach a lot about this, especially working with the first 4 chakras and in horsemanship. and in healing. And we want to learn how to create the sacred space, learn how to create it and hold the space for purpose, peace, and fulfillment. And as I've often mentioned in a lot of different podcasts, if we're depleted, we don't have anything to give. So creating space is an opportunity to create abundance and to create a reservoir. And so that's what I want to talk about next. So reservoir means just what it means. It is a container. And again, we're talking about space and an emotional space. And I like to work with the chakras because I want us to somatically experience what that feels like in our body. And then this is part of that deep connection that we create with our horses. It's just amazing because they're somatic. We're all somatic. We're all sentient beings. Therefore, we can experience somatically, which means we experience through our body. And horses, to me, are masters at this. They have taught me so much. Everything I know about this, what I'm talking about, I've learned through my horses. And so creating a space, we can create a space for anything. We can create a space for love, compassion, for healing, for restoration, for restoring, for protection, for boundaries, for respect. We can create a space for anything. We just have to get the intention behind it. What's your intention? What do you need? And that's where the body scan comes in, right? Or the mind mapping. Some students come to me and they're just so depleted that they don't even know what they need. They just know that they're anxious right now and overwhelmed and at their, at the end of the rope, so to speak. So creating the space is creating that reservoir, that abundance, so that you first can start to give back to yourself, which then allows you to give back to others. So creating, the sacred space for healing, for love, for relationships, for vulnerability, for, honoring ourselves, honoring others. We have to be in a position, in a mindset of intention. Like, what do you want to achieve through this? What is the saying, Lydia? The road was paved. How does that go? The road was paved.
Intentions.
The road to hell was paved with good intentions, right? Yeah. That used to always mess with my head. I'm like, what do you mean? Intention's great. But intention, just like potential doesn't mean squat if we don't follow through, if we don't have action. And so what is your intention? What's the one word that pops up when you do a body scan? How do you feel in your body? Does it hurt? Is it angry? Is it sad? Is it happy? Does it, what are those words? Words are so important because they're attached to thoughts, which are attached to emotions. And this is how we start to understand how we can heal ourselves. And so when you start to create, a lot of people talk about meditation, especially me. And, I want to be able to flip the switch on and meditate in an instant and anywhere. And I can. And I think in my understanding and experience as a teacher of meditation, as a student and as a teacher, and also as an observer, like what do I see out there? Everybody thinks that meditation, I don't want to speak for everyone, but there seems like the mass majority, and you all let me know, that when you go to meditate, it has to be over there somewhere quiet, or you have to join a group to get in the right mindset. And what I'm trying to do is help you guys realize that you can do all of the things I'm going to talk about today, anywhere, anytime. You just have to set it up correctly. It does have to become a ritual. We're going to talk about that, a practice, so that you can turn it on anytime. You can turn it on, and like a dimmer switch, it can get stronger and brighter as far as how much time and energy you want to put into it. You can dim it, relax it, and turn it back off. And it can come on immediately, and it can come off, be turned off immediately too. And this is really, really important. Creating and holding the space is a huge self-respect, empowerment, and boundary. How do I want to say it? Not boundary issue, but for people that have problems with boundaries and don't like confrontation, or feel that if they stick up for themselves in whatever form that is, that it will create a confrontation. And so holding the space is an intentional energy, and it's also a meditational breathing energy, where we actually create that space within ourselves, within our body. It's a somatic experience. But first you have to think about it, and then you want to experience it through your body. And so therefore it's a nonverbal confrontation. We're not here to create the space for boundaries, to protect ourselves from anything in a confrontational way. We are just going to be. We're going to do it, and we're going to become it. And it is powerful. And it's no different than me or a horse standing there and planting their feet and giving a look like, you better not come near me, or a dog or a cat, and just giving you that look like, I am right now, or I'm serious, don't come near me. So that's an intentional thought that then our body takes that shape and that form and that energy. And it is huge. The more you believe in it, the more you feel it. The more you believe in it, the more you feel it. The more you breathe into it, the more you feel it. It's huge. So does anybody have any questions about what I'm talking about, Lydia? No?
Not so far.
So we all have time constraints. How do we create this space? And it can be anywhere, when you make this practice, which I'm going to talk about how to make this practice and how to create this somatically to feel it. And it becomes so ingrained. You carry it wherever you are, and you carry that space in whatever form inside of you, that creating that space. The form I'm talking about is behind the intention. So if your intention is, I feel good and calm and relaxed, then the form is your body and your energy. Your body is a container of energy. So the form becomes relaxed and calm and soft. If the intention is, I'm going to protect myself right now, then creating the space, form, your body as a container, takes on the energetic form in space and frequency of protection, of a barrier. It is that simple. You can take this, you can turn it on, wax off, turn it off, turn it up, turn it down, wherever you are. And it is a nonverbal, it's not a confrontation. It is all energy and intent. Your mind is energy too. So your thoughts are energy. So it's an intentional energy, and it's a physical energy, both the physical energy in the breath work that's inside of you, somatically, what you experience and feel, and it becomes the energy frequency that you push outside of you into this imaginary kind of invisible force field. It is so powerful. And so I want to now talk about rituals, because that's talking about creating and holding the space. Whatever space you need in that particular moment. So now we want to talk about how do we create peace and fulfillment. And creating the space is one way to create peace, definitely, and well-being within those feelings. So when I refer to rituals, I'm not referring to the religious ceremony at all. I'm not. I'm talking about a ceremonial act or action, which is like a series, a habit, habituation. It's a series of actions that are regularly repeated. And so a ritual, an example, I can give two examples of rituals. One would be the way I get up in the morning and the things that I do. And I pretty much do them in this order. Sometimes things change, but I do them in this order because it feels good. And some of them feel better than others. So part of my morning ritual would be I get out of bed, I go to the bathroom. It's a need. It's not a ritual. And then I pretty much brush my hair, put my hair up in a ponytail, or brush my teeth, take my vitamins, and, do this, do that. And then I go out and make coffee for me and my husband and feed the cats. And so the first part of my ritual, which is pretty much the same every day, is out of necessity, but it's also, it feels good to me. If I don't brush my teeth, I hate that. If I don't do X, Y, and Z, I like that sense of order. It feels safe to me and comfortable. But the coffee and the cats need to be fed, but the coffee is the perk. So it's something that really gives back to me and my husband. And he likes it when I make his coffee and I make it a certain way. And then I bring the coffee to the couch and the table and we turn on the news and the cats join us. So it's a love fest. And so or when we had dogs, the dogs were included. So there's that ritual which gives back to us, and it's a bonding ritual for us. It's a relaxation ritual. It might last 5 minutes, it might last an hour, it just depends. But if we can we just make the time, it is so fulfilling. And if we don't make the time, we feel like we've lost something. Like, have you ever felt like you lost an earring, or you can't find your ring and I don't know what to do without my jewelry on, or something feels out of place? So that's just one really simple ritual that works great for us. It could be for anybody. Part of my rituals are watering my plants inside and outside and tending to them, not every day, but it gives back. I mean, that's something that gives back to me, gives me quiet. I like to nurture. Obviously, taking care of my horses is huge. So if I'm not tending to their needs, and Clarissa is, I definitely, part of my ritual every morning is walking down the barns and saying good morning to each one and giving a kiss and just smelling them and just connecting for that instant and feeling that connection and feeling them, they leave their food to get a kiss. And to get that eyeball kiss. So that is just so, I feel empty, I feel lost if I don't have that. So it's a need too. It is something that I need that gives back to me. And it's something that happens quickly. I don't spend a lot of time. These things can be done quickly. Anything, but it's paying attention to what feeds your soul, what makes you feel good. It can be something that lasts a few seconds, many minutes, an hour. So much of our self-care now has become, to me, really drawn out. Like, oh, self-care means I have to go and get my hair done or my nails done or a massage or something that takes a lot of time, when there's so many things we can do throughout our day that can be ritualistic. So like the definition of rituals, purpose creates the reason for which something is done. Purpose. And that's part of that intention. Purpose creates the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So their purpose, I have purpose in my morning. My morning, there's many things that are part of my morning that give back to me, that I feel really good about. And even if like someone wants to do those things for me, sometimes it's okay, but it really feels out of place. I really enjoy doing those. And again, it's the intention behind the action. What's your intention? Do you need to be given to, or do you want to give to? So let's not exclude the feeling of peace. What is that? It's a freedom from disturbance, a sense of ease, flow, and tranquility. Creating rituals helps us create purpose in our intention, our actions, which in turn gives us the feeling of peace. So rituals also help children and adults become better organized with their time. It's great for time management. And it's great, I think, growing up with my mom, I've often been asked this question, when we were growing up, and it definitely is a generational thing too, but we enjoyed, my brothers and I, we had lots of responsibilities. We come from a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and both sides of the family. We had a lot of animals, we had a lot of interests, and we took care of our things. And we made our bed every day, we cleaned our rooms, we helped out around the house. And, I can't remember my mom ever getting on my case, or my brothers, maybe Stephen a little bit. Steve was a little bit more of a dreamer and less organized, which is just who he is. But David and I were definitely, more type A. And we thrive on structure and organization and less spontaneity. Oh, I wouldn't say that. I think we have enough of it. Probably I'm the worst one with spontaneity. I'm the least flexible out of my brothers, the three of us. But the point I'm making is my mom had a great way of making chores fun and enjoyable and satisfying, and feeling like satisfied and that you were doing a good job and you were helping. And I do believe it's because it became like a ritual. There were just certain things that we did, and she was great about, positive reward, praising us, and it felt good. And so those chores just felt good because of the way they were set up by my mom. And they became rituals, got out of bed, and I made my bed every morning. It didn't feel right if my bed wasn't made. Brushed my teeth. Nobody had to tell me to brush my teeth. It felt good. And it was a positive experience. So I'm going to have a question for all of you. What kind of rituals do you do daily? If you don't mind sharing in the comments. And is anybody lacking in feeling, or what's the word I want to say, or how I want to say it? Does anyone feel overwhelmed or anxious about fulfilling a New Year's resolution? So let us know. Lydia's going to be looking at the comments if anybody feels that way. So when we talk about meditation, and I was talking about that earlier, for me, holding or creating the space for meditation can happen anytime and anywhere. And it can be brief. It can last longer depending on the environment, the situation where I am. But it's also really important because there's plenty of times, like over the holidays, as stressful as they were, where I just had to really make sure I stepped back and I took a deep breath, or many, and just grounded myself and created that space of allowing myself to do some deep breathing to start to replace the adrenaline with endorphin, and which is obviously a natural relaxer, chemical through our nervous system that relaxes us. So, and I can do that while I was driving. I could do that sitting in the hospital with my mom and holding her hand. But you got to do that body scan. So when you get good news or bad news, or let's say bad news, and you feel like you're tightening, you've got to be aware of the tension, and then go, okay, I'm going to breathe into it and release it. It's not going to do you any good holding on to it. It'll do you harm. It'll raise your blood pressure. Oh my gosh, it'll create horrible tension, perhaps, TMJ, headaches, all sorts of physical havoc on our bodies. Are we good? Yeah. Anything you want to add, Lydia?
I want to add that my own particular rituals bring about safety. And so ritual has a tendency to make one feel safe. It's like the one thing that you might be able to count on is your own rituals.
That's a good.
Prayer and meditation is a ritual that nobody can usually interrupt. And if they do, I might get kind of snarky if they do. Like, this is my moment. Don't mess it up, right? Because this is what I'm praying, and I'm praying about God's will be done, because I really don't know what's good or bad for anybody.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So that's my intention for the day, and that makes me feel safe and protected, I guess, too. And I think ritual makes the horse feel safe.
Yes, like a lot of people argue about routine with horses, and I find routine and ritual very similar. My horses have routine. They get fed a certain time every day. But they're also okay, with their routine changing. And that's really important too, because being with me during that change should be more important than them worrying about, are they going to get fed? And I do understand completely, doing all the rehab work I've done with all the horses, that, in the beginning, they're all about the food, and there's going to be high anxiety until they can trust you and feel safe with you and realize that that ritualistic connection, the way that you go about creating that consistent way of being together all the time, is going to be much more the somatic experience through their body, and the natural nervous system, the release of endorphin, is going to override all of those, the adrenaline and the anxiety that's created through the food anxiety, so to speak. So yeah, I've dealt with a lot of food anxiety with horses, and it can get really dangerous, especially if you're working with them and all of a sudden, someone starts the feed and you're either riding or working, and this horse is like all about the food. It can get really dangerous. But yeah, safety, it's all, why does it create that? Because it releases naturally. Meditation is feeling. The zone of meditation is the fact, and the reality, the evidence is that it's caused, you get into that meditative state in that zone because you're releasing endorphin through the nervous system versus adrenaline. I mean, that's the science behind it. So anything we do that is rhythmic releases endorphin and creates a meditative state. Remember that anything we do that's rhythmic, anything we listen to, we watch, we feel somatically through our body. And breath work is right there. We can obviously control the way we breathe in and out, and that will naturally produce endorphin throughout the nervous system. Same for the horses. So if you have 15 minutes or less, a lot of people don't have a lot of time when they board their horses and traveling to go see their horses, and weather conditions. So what do I do if I can't actually work with my horse? And my New Year's resolution is to have a better, deeper connected relationship this year. Yet, I can't spend 5 hours a week with my horse, maybe in one day, but that's not necessarily going to create that ritual or that routine or that habit, that new way of being for any of us, including our horses. So if for those of you that have less time, but more frequent visits with your horse, there's so much you can do in that less time. If it's just 15 minutes visiting your horse, 3 to 5 times a week, And I've talked about this before too. I've like 3 secrets to success. And it's consistency, repetition, and reward, positive reward, which is you're the sweet spot, not the treat. So it's consistently being, showing up, a way of being, consistently doing something with your horse the same way. And that's your repetition, and offering tons of positive experiences during that time. So it's not like, oh, let's go, 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 and then here's your reward. Because it's that go, 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 go that creates a negative experience. And then you're rewarding the negative experience. I'm talking about the experience being the reward. You and the experience being the reward. And so often we think that we have to do to make something happen or to feel accomplished or successful, when actually it's all about how you spend the time and how you show up in that connection. So it's a lot to think about. 2 examples for if you don't have a lot of time to spend with your horse, especially with bad weather. And I know, Lydia, you've got the horrific weather right now with the freezing temperatures, and you've got to feed your horses. So you see your horses multiple times throughout the day, but you can't spend a lot of time with them because it's so damn cold and the ground's frozen. So it's not like you can do a lot, with that hard ground, and it's all misshapen and it hurts the soles of their feet. So, and Lydia already knows this because she's a committed and active student of mine, but I have 2 great examples that I teach in my spirituality course and in my mastery membership program, which includes a spirituality course. And those are the 3 principles of joining and connecting with your horse. And I have 3 very amazing ways to connect with your horse every day, every time you see them, and feel that the both of you are engaged and connected and joined. And that's the mind, the body, and the heart. So the heart connection, the body connection, and the mind connection. And Lydia, you love this. Explain to everyone how join up with horses in my work, the work that you're doing with your horses, shows up in the mind, body, and heart. And even if you only have so much time to go feed, but you want to connect with your horse and you want to keep that consistency, or you need that ritual because it feels so good for both of you. And you also, this is the other trick or secret to training, is it's not about doing as much as it is about being. So share with everybody what it's like to connect and join in mind, body, and heart.
That's a big look. That's a big question. It's a big one. But what it's like is, especially if you have multiple horses, it's I heard something said this morning that I can say it may be very short. And it's not the actual music that makes the music, it's the dead space between the notes that makes the music.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it's like. It's intimately magical and not necessarily visual. It's like God, it's unseen, it's felt.
It's felt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's
So joining of the mind, that was beautifully put, but to be tangible, joining of the mind means your horse connects with you visually. They look at you, right? They're thinking about you. It's that easy, you guys. When they look at you, they're thinking about you. The heart connection shows up. Yeah, when the horse comes in and leans into you with their heart chakra. And the more you develop your relationship, the horse will hug you, lean in and either hug you here, or they'll wrap themselves around and pull you in. Because this is instinctual and natural for horses to do when they feel close to another. They do this in close relationships with one another all the time, and it becomes grooming. They hug and they groom. And then the body, that's pretty much the same thing. The body comes in and wants to be close to you, lean into you, share that space with you, connect in that that energetic feeling that just you feel in your heart. You did, as usual, the most beautiful way of explaining it poetically. I brought a little more the tangible part to it.
Yes, thank you. Because it makes me almost speechless sometimes to experience it on a
I
daily
know.
basis, all day long.
Yes. Yes.
I feel very privileged to be taught by them and to be a part of their world. Like, I don't think they're a part of my world. I'm a part of their world, if that
Mhm.
makes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just that,
Yeah.
it's
And
just that way. It's
and
just
when you
that.
get to that place, that level where you are a part of their world, then they're always looking for you. That's why it's so easy for me to walk down the barn during AM feeding and my guys leave their food and come over with hay, or wet green soaked pellet mouths for a kiss or a blow in the nose. Um, it's beautiful. It's because you're part of their world.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you. Um, So I already mentioned my 3 secrets to creating meaning, purpose, feeling fulfilled, accomplished, or content and feeling successful with your horse is making sure that you're consistent, you are repetitious, and that the experience itself that you share is rewarding. The experience, that way of being, that space, that felt space is really important. So I'm going to wrap this up. Lydia has a beautiful gratitude prayer she's going to share at the very end. I'm going to wrap up with 6 intentions to help you focus, manifest, and fulfill in the new year. And before I give you those intentions, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what this year looks like for the Tao of Horsemanship. Last year, this time last year, I mentioned that I was going to be pulling back and reflecting last year and getting quiet, because I'd spent 3 years like becoming burnt out with creating so much content online. And last year, that's exactly what I did. And this year I am gearing back up as we speak to travel again and get more engaged on a one-on-one and host clinics. So I am opening my doors. It's been 3 or 4 years, and I'm opening my doors back up to being accessible to all of you, traveling to you for private work or clinics. And so I'm going to be, for those of you that have subscribed to my email list, you'll get a notification, hopefully sooner than later, this time, sometime this month in January, of all the new clinics that I'm going to be offering here or at your place. And so I'm really excited about feeling ready to do that again. I burn out from that and then threw myself into creating all this content, got burnt out. I'm in a good place, gave myself a break last year, and a much needed break to be with my husband and my mom. And so now I'm gearing back up. And that's what this year is going to look like, is getting out there and in the trenches, and hopefully getting back to some YouTube videos and some fun stuff around here, but not until I can get caught up with my promotions. And so let me go ahead and share these 6 intentions to help you focus, manifest, and fulfill in the new year. Number 1, and they're in this order: visualize, think about what you want to have or accomplish this year. Visualize. What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? Sit and create the space in your mind and in your heart and feel the energy of those intentions. The power of feeling is amazing. Don't just think about it. How do you feel about it? That's that vibration we want to put out there. Number 2, create daily rituals that focus on prayers, mantras, or meditation. So make a list. Your list could be 1, it's on a list, maybe 3 things that you want to focus on or more to start habitualizing. Make a daily practice, a daily habit. Sometimes it takes a while and before they become second nature, obviously, and they can be accessible anytime. I want to be able to turn them on and off anytime. I want to use them as like recharging. My meditation, all meditations should be to recharge too. So what can you do when you're feeling depleted? But you got to be able to recognize that. Number 3, allow your rituals to include connecting with your senses daily, whether it be nature, get out of your mind, whether it be nature, being outdoors or with your animals, listening to sounds that make you feel good, compassionate touch. Engage your senses and feel. A lot of this is getting out of our head. Number 4, honor yourself and your loved ones. 2 and 4-legged. Honor yourself and your loved ones with positivity, thankfulness, and grace, which is goodwill. Grace. Create the space for grace. That's going to be my word this year. Grace. I like that. Number 5, find quiet time without any stimulation. This is a hard one for a lot of people, and learn how to be comfortable with the quiet. And I don't mean reading. I mean quiet. Either you sit with your eyes wide open with nothing else going on, or you close your eyes. How many of us can be quiet? So this is calming the mind. Oh, I'll be right there. Calming the mind is the first step to developing leadership and clarity in your life. You being the leader for your life. Yes, Lydia.
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you.
Saying I can be quiet. I can go outside and be quiet and just stare off at nothing. Easy.
Me too. Gosh, can I do that? And number 6, stay in your heart and not in your head. Lead with your gut and your intuition. And again, if anybody needs help with this, this is what I do. You can come and learn with me and the horses. I can come to you, or we can do a long distance Zoom coaching session. I have students all over the world. Zoom is amazing, and it's free for you guys. All you have to do is download it. All right. Excellent. Miss Lydia, please grace us with this beautiful gratitude blessing.
Yes. This was given to me, and it was scribed.
Real quick, hold on. Just lean into, so we get your voice. Thank you, dear.
Okay. This was hand scribed and given to me for having a gathering in September at the harvest. And I wanted to share it with you because it is the indigenous version of the allegiance to gratitude for the year. An allegiance to gratitude. And I'm saying it's scribed because I might have to focus on a word because it's hand scribed, right? Like it's not typed. Okay, here we go. Today we have gathered, and when we look upon the faces around us, we see that cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in harmony and balance with each other and all living things. So now let us bring our minds together as one. We give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. We are thankful to our mother, the earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. She gives us great joy that she still continues to care for us, just as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect. Now our minds are one. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst, providing strength and nurturing life for all beings. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans, snow and ice. We are grateful that the waters are still here and meeting their responsibilities to the rest of creation. Can we agree that water is important to our lives and bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to the water? Now our minds are one. We turn our thoughts to all fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that they continue to do their duties, and we send to the fish our greetings and our thanks. Now our minds are one. Now we turn toward the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now our minds are one. When we look about us, we see that the berries are still here, providing us with delicious foods. The leader of the berries is the strawberry, the first to ripen in the spring. Can we agree that we are grateful that the berries are with us in the world and send our thanksgiving, love, and respect to the berries? Now our minds are one. With one mind, we honor and thank all food plants we harvest from the garden, especially the three sisters who feed the people with such abundance. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, and beans and fruits have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them as well. We gather together in our minds all the plant foods and send them a greeting and thanks. Now our minds are one. Now we turn to the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are so happy that they are still among us, those special few who remember how to use the plants for healing. With one mind, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect to the medicines and the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. Standing around us, we see all the trees. The earth has many families of trees who each have their own instructions and uses. Some provide shelter and shade, others fruit and beauty and many useful gifts. The maple and its leader of the trees to recognize its gifts of sugar when the people need it most. Many peoples of the world recognize a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now our minds are one. We gather our minds together to send our greetings and thanks to all the beautiful animal life of the world who walk about with us. They have many things to teach us as people. We are grateful that they continue to share their lives with us and hope that it will always be so. Let us put our minds together as one and send our thanks to all the animals. Now our minds are one. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them strength, or gave them the gift of beautiful songs. Each morning they greet the day and with their songs remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader and to watch over the world. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. We are all thankful for the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify air we breathe. They help to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. Now we turn to the west, where our grandfather, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks. Excuse me, grandfathers, the thunders. We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of the new day. He is the source of all fire of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun. Now our minds are one. We put our minds together and give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. Let us gather our thanks for Grandmother Moon together in a pile, layer upon layer of gratitude, then joyfully fling that pile of thanks into the night sky, that she will know. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. While we give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry, we see them at night helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. Now our mind is one. We're almost done. I've been the pages stuck together. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the caring teachers. Now our minds are one. Thank you, Caroline. We now turn our thoughts to the Creator or Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it is not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. And now our minds are one. Note, there are some who would say this is too long. A proper response, poor you, what a pity. We have so much to be grateful for.
I'm crying. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Oh,
It's so
thank you.
perfect. It's so perfect to welcome the new year with such level of gratitude. Thank you, Lydia.
Yes.
Ooh.
Now I have a question. So now I'm going to have to I'll put in where this came from.
Okay. Yeah.
On our
Ooh,
YouTube
thank you.
page. And I think, are you gonna be posting this to the Facebook private community page too?
Yes. So send me, just send me where people can get that.
Yeah.
Can they
I'll
get
put it in.
that, or is it private?
It came out of
Yeah.
a book. No, it came out of a book.
Oh, good. Okay, yes. Share that and I'll include all of that. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Thank you. All right. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. And you can use this podcast as part of your ritual. So don't forget. And books are great rituals, and reading and anything that gives back, that allows you to give. So thank you, Lydia. That was absolutely beautiful. And thank you, everyone. And next Wednesday, we have a podcast with Welcome Back, Rahanzia. And we're going to be talking, I can't remember the title right now, sorry, but it's going to be pretty deep. Again, definitely a more spiritually inclined podcast with Rahanzia next Wednesday. So I hope you all join us. Everything that we talk about in these podcasts is absolutely applicable to our horsemanship. Absolutely. And that's the way I teach. So if any of you are wondering, wow, on my YouTube channel, why is this on here? Believe me, this is the essence of who I am and the essence of how I be with my horses and what I teach. It's real. Absolutely. All right. God bless everyone. May you all be one with your horse. Thank you. Namaste. Happy New Year. Love to all, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Stay warm, love.
Yay.
And I'll catch up with you later. Okay. Bye, everyone.